whether it's a rumor, 28 million a month. What do you think?
If it's a rumor, then it's serious.
Then you now understand. Let us go to America and benchmark it. Let's do the comparison. Let's go to England. Let's go to the developed societies and see how the importance they have placed on education. You will now realize that education is so important that we cannot continue to play lip service to education.
You know, this talk of value judgment you just raised is very key here, and how can we reverse the trend? Just now you were trying to draw the analogy of the chess game. It reminds us of some players who would think that the pawns are just useless.
That's why you say the pawns are useless on the board.
They are very powerful on the board. So
but you take a poison pawn, then you will know what the strength of a pawn on the board. And that's the same thing. We have consumed the poison pawn.
How can we reverse it?
Education. It looks so helpless. It looks so harmless to mess around with education. But on the chessboard, education is like the poison pawn. You consume it and you die.
Because we asked this question knowing full well that once upon a time, I think that was the attitude of those in government towards security. Everyone thought that we were a safe nation, we were all safe, to the extent that maybe some people don't even exactly know what is spent in that regard. So how can we reverse the trend when we talk about value now and place that optimum value on our education sector?
That's what I said. First, you pay me a living wage. Next, you invest in education. You invest. Let me tell you, education itself has the capacity of generating revenue. Do you know you have what you call educational tourists? People who sojourn to other countries. Just across the border there, is it Cotonou?
You don't need to go far. Nigerians on a regular basis are streaming.
That's what I'm telling you. Go to the Central Bank of Nigeria and let them tell you how much in foreign exchange Nigeria loses to all those who have gone to other parts of the world seeking quality education. So you can imagine that if our government invests heavily in education, then there can be what? A reversal. Not only a reversal in our people coming back home, that foreigners will be willing to now come to Nigeria and to receive quality education like we go to UK and we make money. They were coming before. Where are they?
But now we are going.
We are going. Because we are, I don't know.
But can the student on his or her own, coupled with the parents' assistance, help themselves to make a difference if all else, maybe from the government, has failed?
Except you're a genius. Except you're a genius. Most of the time you need to be taught. That's the truth. Except you're a genius. Except you are gifted. Most of the time you need to be taught. Somebody needs to point the direction.
When you say need to be taught, Chinyere Uzomba sent in a tweet here, and she says, I graduated with a 2-1 in engineering, but at a meeting with engineers from other countries, I was intimidated.
That's the question. So what did she read?
Needs to be taught.
She needs to be taught, because even the man who taught her was defective. He was a professor of paper. He was not a professor of competence. That's why I'm one of those who advocate that when somebody says a man graduates from university and after he graduates, he does not find a job for 2 years, he goes to do what? A master's. Even the word masters, what do you think it refers to? What do you think it means? It's to master something. So what do you know that you are mastering? What have you been exposed to that you want to master? That's why in Germany, everybody goes through certain system. You all go to primary, secondary, you all go to polytechnic. It is those that excel in polytechnic that goes to what? To university. So university is not open to any Dick and Harry. Because that is where, that's the best term of knowledge. So that is where that's where you begin to propound theories, and you begin to query the unimaginables. You can imagine like in Germany where someone starts querying that whether God truly exists, and he wants to mathematically prove it. If you watch a film, there's a film called Numbers. That is one film I love to watch, where a man says he can solve any problem in the world By using what? Numbers. By using numbers. That means his mind is so configured that he can recognize any pattern, that provided he can translate human behavior into numbers.
Will all of this,
well, let's come to Nigeria.
Will all of this stepping up the
different.
education sector, and will it help in other sectors of
Yeah,
national
it will.
life? For instance, security,
medicine everywhere. Once you invest properly in education, and our Nigerians get educated, you understand? Then you will now see how our society will in church we call transpose. It will now reveal the beauty of what it is to be a Nigerian.
But what is it that goes wrong? We've got, we still have them, lecturers who studied abroad, and almost immediately when they come back, rather than employing the same pattern in terms of teaching to Nigerian schools, they do something completely different. Over there's a lot of emphasis on what is it that you actually have learned. But when you come here, the teaching styles just change.
It's not the teaching styles, it's the order of merit. It's the order of merit. You compensate mediocrity and you sacrifice competence at the altar of what? Of popularity. What then what then do you expect? When those who occupy our political space, many of them we can call them mediocres.
Is it
in the so-called field.
But this is it's not irredeemable.
It is not, and that is why we are sitting here. And that's why the first thing I'm proposing is that we should pay living wages in the educational system. Benchmark the educational system against the most important system that in your eyes, you understand, you think without it, our economy will fold up. We say it's oil. Okay, now, what operates in the oil sector? A graduate that gets into the oil sector, how much does he earn? He earns maybe 500,000 a month. So therefore, a graduate that is going to go into the educational system should earn what? 500,000 a month. So that the graduate who is so smart, who wants to go into the oil sector, will now begin to rethink that not only do I have competence, I also have this grace. I'm still gifted in being able to impact knowledge on what? On people. So you now see, we now begin to experience what I call the drift. That is the first and immediate check that we could do. People in the banks, some of them will move out of the banking sector where they are giving them targets that in the name of God they don't know which day they'll make it. And they'll start going into the educational system. And when they go into the educational system, they begin to impact
very quickly
on our children.
Some states pretty soon will be going to the polls. Should we start to make this as a point of reference for every political office holder? Education?
That is if the system that produces our leaders, you understand, relies on the vote